Hey, hello, everyone. Welcome to Father, Son, and Holy Sport Weekly NFL Show. It's G-Man, Team Money over there, coming to you live, NFL Week 11, bringing you our entertaining father-son take on what you need to know this week in the NFL. Team Money, big game last Thursday night. We saw the Ravens get the victory against the Bengals in that what's becoming a classic now with Lamar versus Burrow. And this week, another big Thursday nighter. Two apparent playoff teams. NFC East title at the stake. It's the Eagles. It's the Commanders Thursday night in a war.
Yeah, man, crazy Thursday night. Tough one for the Bengals there. Just heartbreak losses left and right for us this year. So got to regroup, got to get back to it. But it'll be a good NFC East battle this Thursday.
Yeah. And can these guys behind me continue to perform at a high level? It's Philly, it's Saquon, it's Hurts taking over the NFC. And a team that's not performing, though, at a high level, the Houston Texans. Texans lose in that playoff atmosphere game against Detroit last week. 5 interceptions they get. They led by 16 and a half, and they still lose the game. What is wrong with the Texans, Team Money?
Man, this is getting to be a really weird team. I don't know what the hell is going on with these guys. Jared Goff becomes the third quarterback ever to throw 5 picks and win a game. So joining Matt Ryan and Tony Romo. So you let that crazy stat happen versus you. You're supposed to be a vaunted offense, and the past 4 weeks you've not been able to score over 23 points. You've lost 3 out of your last 4 on top of that, and you're losing to teams that will be in the playoffs. The Green Bays, the Detroits, the Minnesotas. These are good teams that are going to be in the playoffs. I don't want to hear about you beating New England and Jacksonville and the Colts. Okay? Those are bad teams. So I am worried about this Texas team. Now I'm hoping when Nico Collins comes back, he clearly was having a breakout season and looks to be a new elite receiver in this league, and maybe that's the reason. But he had Diggs and Tank Dell, who everyone liked a lot. I think the defense has been a little leaky. And the fact that the offense could not bring this game home for them after, again, 5 picks from Jared Goff, it brings a lot of question marks into how good are you going to be come playoff time. If your defense is creating turnovers and your offense can't capitalize, even with Nico Collins out, I have a lot of questions. And so, they have a nice little cushion here in the next few weeks. Dallas, Tennessee, Jacksonville kind of get back on, the right track. And then you got Baltimore and Kansas City and then Tennessee to finish out the year. But those will be the 2 big tests, at the end of the season to really see if you've gotten your shit together. Because right now, we look all out of whack. So they got to get it together. This team was hot, big Super Bowl pick for a lot of people. There's a lot of question marks across their offense and defense right now.
Yeah, I agree. And D'Amico Ryans himself said it's frustrating to lose a game when they play such great defense, good enough defense to win.
Yeah.
And he's frustrated. Of course, he's the defensive expert coming in, heading up this team, and had a great year last year and now having trouble with the offense. But they've been good in the first half. It's really the second half. They seem to be taking their foot off the pedal. They haven't scored a second half touchdown since week 6.
Wow.
And they're not taking advantage of turnovers. How many times you see the turnovers convert into scores? Everybody always tries to do that. They're not converting when they get the turnover. So, these are things I think they can clean up. Nico's back this week, from what I understand. That'll be big. It'll help CJ get some confidence.
Yeah.
And they should be rolling this week in Dallas against the Cowboys. They're going to take the Cowboys apart. So do you believe in the Texans? G-Man does, yes. I still believe in the Texans, Team Money, but I'm going to ask you who you believe in here. I'm going to give you 2 teams. You tell me which one you believe in most. Do you believe more in the Ravens or do you believe more in the Bills?
Oh, man, this is a really tough question because I think the Ravens, if the defense is playing well, might be one of the more unstoppable teams. but Josh Allen is an unstoppable player, and they're on fire right now. This is really a coin flip to me, but I think the Ravens have a slightly higher ceiling offensively because they can, if Lamar's not passing, they have Derrick Henry to lean on. They have a lot of weapons. They have a good run game. They have, a really solid defense. And I know the back end passing isn't the best, but they're addressing that. They brought in some corners. They've been playing well as of late. Really when they played Denver the week before, other than Joe Burrow, their passing defense is probably good. You take his statistics out of there. So I slightly lean Ravens. I know I'm kind of teetering this line right now of not
Yes, you
really
are.
picking one. But
Yes.
I just think the Ravens have had a tough schedule and they've fought through it. They've beaten the Bengals, who I think are good. They've beaten Buffalo head to head, but I think it'd be closer now. Buffalo has San Francisco, Kansas City, LA, Detroit, the next four. They played some cupcakes the past 5 weeks or so. And I think they may be starting to get a little more exposed. I don't think they're going to run through those 4 games too easily like they did. Now, luckily for them, they finished New England, New York, New England to finish the season. So they'll be on a little bit of a hot streak to finish the year. But this next part is a gauntlet. And so I think the Ravens are a little more battle tested, have a little bit higher ceiling. I take the Ravens, believe in them a little bit more. But I like Buffalo's chances to get to an AFC championship game. I could see it being, whatever the matchups are, they could squeeze in there. But, I'd lean Ravens, but I like them both. I do.
I'm going Buffalo on this one, man. I'm going to Buffalo. Defensively, the Bills are better.
Yeah,
They've got a clear lead to win their division,
that's true.
and they're 4-0 at home. They play Kansas City this weekend. They're favored to win that game, but they also may be able to rest their team in week 17, and the Ravens will not. Offensively, the Ravens are better. Strong running game. They currently in a battle to win their division. They could lose to the Steelers this week. So they're in a battle. The Ravens defense has given up way too many points. They're the league worst at passing yards per game, 294 passing yards a game, which is more than 5 teams are giving up in total yards. So what are they going to do to fix that?
Yeah.
But the three teams who have quarterbacks in this AFC, T-Money, that do not want to lose a game. I mean, I think of these quarterbacks at the end of a game, they will do anything to win. And there's 2 of them right here, Lamar and Allen and Mahomes. Those 3 guys, they do not want to lose. I look at Burrow. I know he plays well, but I just don't see that fire where they're throwing their helmet if they lose.
How dare you talk about my boy like that? Burrow's in that.
I don't know if he's in that. I don't know if he's in that. He's trying to be too cute. He gets his hair blonde and stuff. He's trying to be too cute. He's got to be more mad if he loses. Come on, Joe. Give it to me, Joe. I want you to throw your helmet a couple times. Okay? Hey, next Sunday, it's all going down Sunday, though, for both of these teams we just talked about. Ravens at Steelers, 1:00 Sunday. And then later on Sunday, enjoy the afternoon matinee, the Chiefs and Bills going at it. So, hey, we talked about the 4 top AFC teams playing against each other here. The one team we usually talk about in AFC contention that we're not is the Bengals. They're 0-3 against those 4 teams we just talked about. They're 0-3 against them right now at this point in the season. Have you had enough T-Money? Should the Bengals consider firing Zach Taylor?
I would. I don't think he brings anything to the table that's special. Okay. Like, I think he's just a mediocre quarterback who, or quarterback. He was a quarterback in the NFL, but I think he's a mediocre coach. I think you could bring in a new young hotshot offensive coordinator and really elevate this offense. I honestly think we need a defensive coordinator as our head coach. Joe Burrow can do whatever with whoever. He clearly doesn't need any sort of help on the offense because Zach Taylor is the least creative guy I've ever seen as a play caller. I mean, we're just running it and go balls to Jamar at this point. And it's working because Joe Burrow's elite and Jamar Chase is elite. So the offense, whatever, that's fine. But I think the defense needs help. And that's also got to fall on the head coach. He's got to figure this out. Lou Ramos is his hire. They got to figure this out. The thing is, they're cheap. They're not going to fire Zach Taylor. He's got a contract, I think for a few more years. That if anything, they'd let that run out before they do anything because we have cheap ownership. And we're never going to pay top dollar for a guy like Mike Vrabel or Bill Belichick. We're going to pay a cheap guy. So look, do I think they should fire him? Yes. Will they fire him? Absolutely not. Do I think he's the worst coach in the NFL? No. But I definitely don't think he's top 15. So we're just stuck in this no man's land of hoping Joe Burrow does something special and the defense could just barely hold on long enough. And
Yeah.
it's a shitty place to be. We've put ourselves in a hole because of this. So tough year for the Bengals.
Well,
We need to crawl out of this one. We still have some hope. So we'll see.
well, interesting you say quarterback for Zach Taylor. He was a quarterbacks coach. He was a graduate assistant at Texas A&M. Then he went on as a quarterback coach for the Dolphins and then the Rams before he got his head job with the Bengals. And so he's got that offensive background. The defense has holes. Lou Anarumo is supposedly this guru, but I don't know, man. The defense ranks 26th in points given up per game.
Tough.
Do they need a stronger DC? The thing I blame Zach Taylor on is this team is never ready at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
They start out so slow. What's he got to do to get these guys out of the gates quicker? So they're playing the last few years. They've been not in contention here in 2023 and 2024 because they start off so slow.
Yeah. Yep. And I think the one solace that we can have here as Bengals fans is shockingly the AFC is the worst conference of the two this year. So there is still hope to make the playoffs, right? This week we play the Chargers, and they are in the sixth spot right now. I'm not worried about the Colts, who we're looking up at. All we need is to be better than the Chargers or the Broncos to make the playoffs right now for the rest of the season. And so, I think you win this game versus the Chargers. Not only do you own the tiebreaker, you bring them down one and you go up one, and all of a sudden there's a fighting chance. So, there is a possibility for us to make the playoffs here.
Oh, yeah.
We just need Joe Burrow to go on a run, but we got to win some of these bigger games. We got the likes of the Chargers and then Pittsburgh coming up. Those are two big games. Yeah, we have Dallas, Tennessee, some other ones, but we got to win first the Chargers, and then we get Denver in week 17. Again, a chance to have a tiebreaker versus a team that could be in the 6 or 7 spot and bring them down and move us up. So two big games for teams that we're looking up at to finish the year. We just have to close those out. So we're lucky that we're even still in contention with the shitty AFC this year. So we got to bring it home.
Good team. I agree with you. Bengals still got a shot at this thing, but they got to win this Sunday night. Sunday night football, everybody. Against those Chargers, they got to win that game, Team Money, or it's over.
Yeah, probably.
And by the way, Bengals ownership, since they're talking about firing and hiring and all of this stuff, give Jamar Chase his money, man. You see what the guy can do? 264-yard, 3 touchdown. He leads the NFL with 981 receiving yards. He's going to be the first one to break 1,000 receiving yards. And you guys would not pay him. He's ripping up the league, man. Come on. Hey, let's go on. Let's move on to another pressure cook situation over there. Not too long ago, people were talking about Mike Tomlin. Should he be the guy? Well, look where he's at now. He's atop the AFC North, Team Money, ahead of those Bengals, ahead of the Ravens. Is it time to consider the Steelers as true Super Bowl contenders? Can we believe this?
Look, I think this weekend is the showcase if you're a true Super Bowl contender. I really like them. I think the win versus Washington really proves something. They went down the field, they scored with not a lot of time left, and then their defense held the offensive rookie of the year in Jaden Daniels and an explosive offense, not scoring at the end of the game. So I think this was a crucial point. Russell Wilson has looked really good. He had a shaky first half, but he looked good. And in the past 2 weeks before this week, he had 278 yards and 264 yards. So the offense is moving. They're scoring a lot of points. The defense is elite. The 3 weeks or the 4 weeks before this, they held everybody under 20 points. So they've been really, really good on defense, but we knew that. Russell Wilson's brought out a new side of them. And this week, if they can beat Baltimore, that's when I'll consider them a true Super Bowl contender. I like, the last few weeks they played New York, Vegas. Their wins are okay. But you want to be a true contender. You want to be talked about in the likes of the Buffaloes and the Niners and the Chiefs and the Lions. You beat the Ravens, and you'll have back-to-back wins versus the Commanders and the Ravens, and you'll sit there at 8-2, right there, probably the 2 seed in the AFC with 2 games over the Ravens in your own division. Now you're a Super Bowl contender. So this is the week. I like you. You're right there. But you want to be considered by T-Money a contender? Go do it this weekend. Prove it to me.
Yes, they do want to be considered by T-Money. And, they're going to play well this weekend. It's going to be a war. I like the Steelers getting these 3 points here. Give me the 3 points with the Steelers at home. We're going to be talking about that in the big bets coming up. Watch for our big bet show. We are hot. Hey, but listen to this finishing schedule that the Steelers have, T-Money. They still play the Ravens twice. Yeah. They play the Bengals twice. They play the Eagles and they play the Chiefs. So they're going to have to win 2 or 3 of those games there in order to make the playoffs. So it only begins right here.
Yeah, that's very true. Good point, G. But luckily they put themselves in a good position getting out to such a hot start. So they should make the playoffs, but you're right. They might not be contenders once they go through that gauntlet.
Right through the gauntlet. And hey, let's speaking of those big bets, let's go to this big bets, man. But on the way to big bets, let's thank our show sponsor, Blue Tees Golf. Go to blueteesgolf.com, find affordable, high quality golf products that can help you pick up your game, like speakers and rangefinders. Enter coupon code FSHS. Get a 10% discount on your order. Also, do us a favor, press that like and subscribe button, everybody, so we can keep bringing you the fun every week. All right, let's go to bets, T-Money. Let's see what you got. T-Money has been hot. We got to see if we can keep him on his hot streak. T-Money 4-0 over the last 2 weeks.
Come on.
Where's G-Man? G-Man's hot on the player props, y'all. 10-1 the last 2 weeks on player props. And let's go right away to T-Money's lock pick of the week.
Come on. Follow us, baby. We're hot right now. Get on while the train's hot. All right, big bet of the week here. I'm going with the Texans. I know we just talked about, do we believe them? Are they shaky? Yada, yada, yada. Look, this is a big game for the Texans. All right, they got to get back on track after losing the last 3 or 4. They're getting Nico Collins back. They need to get this offense into gear. Luckily, they played Dallas, who let the Eagles run roughshod on them at home. And this is an in-state rivalry. The Houstons want to crush these guys, show them they're not the little brother that Dallas wants them to be. The line's 7.5. I know that's a lot in the NFL. I don't know if the Cowboys could score 7.5. So they scored 6 points last week. Cooper Rush is not a good quarterback. All right. So, yes, I think the Texans are going to win this game by a couple touchdowns. The Cowboys might score 14 points, but no way they get over 20. And I think the Texans are going to put the pedal to the metal here. Like I said, Nico's back. Mixon's a lock for anytime touchdown, it looks like, every single week. And so the Texans 7.5, I think this is an easy one right now. The Texans are going to come in with a vengeance after blowing that game to the Lions.
I love it. I love it. You got CJ on your board there for some confidence. CJ needs that. You hear that, CJ? All right, let's go. And T-Money last week picked the Eagles over Dallas to win, and that was a big pick right there too. So maybe you can get it again against Dallas. I'm going over to Green Bay, favored by 6 in Chicago versus the Bears Sunday at 1. The Bears are in disarray.
They are.
After losing to the Patriots last week. Caleb threw for 120 yards, no touchdowns. Guess what? He was sacked 9 times. The Packers have generated the second most turnovers in the NFL this season at 19. Green Bay's on the road favorites off a bye. Are 60% against the spread since 2004. And Matt LaFleur in extended rest games is 7-3 against the spread when favored by 4 or more. Green Bay has been dominant finally against Chicago over the last 5 years. The Packers are 10-0 straight up and 10-0 against the spread against the Bears. Let's make it 11. Green Bay -6 in Chicago for my hot top pick of the week.
All right. I like that one too. All right, let's go to my dog lock of the week, and it sounds like we may be headed in the same direction here. The Steelers +3. I like the Steelers in this spot. Lamar Jackson is 2-4 against the Steelers in his career. One of the few losing records he has. Great regular season statistically, but he's 2-4 all time versus Steelers. The Steelers are at home, and this is a tough line for them. Their defense has been playing elite. They held Washington to 27 points. I know it sounds like a lot, but that was the number one offense in the NFL, and the Ravens have a great offense too. Before that, the 3 wins they had, they held their opponents to 18, 15, and 13. This defense is going to be something Baltimore hasn't seen. They've gotten to play the likes of Cincinnati and Denver and Tampa Bay, Washington, Cincinnati. Those are all their wins recently. They played a tough defense in Cleveland, and they lost. So they haven't seen a defense like this in a while. Pittsburgh crowd's going to be crazy. This is a AFC North battle rivalry game. This is going to come down to a last-second field goal from one of them. So either way, you get to 3 if you like that. So give me the Steelers +3 here. I think this is a great number and a sort of a trap game for the Ravens.
All right. Hey, I'm with you on this one. So I'll give you a bonus pick, but I'll add some additional color to this one also. Hey, like you said, it's always a close game. So the underdog in the last 20 years in this series is 74% against the spread. And guess what? Mike Tomlin has Harbaugh's number. Mike Tomlin, 20-15 straight up against Harbaugh. Tomlin v. Harbaugh. Tomlin usually wins. And here's the last one. Do you know Tomlin against the spread as an underdog is the most profitable coach in the NFL over the last 20 years, 62, 35-4 when he's a dog. Go with Tomlin when he gets those points and he's at home. Hey, I'll give you a bonus pick here. And we're going to go to that Bengals-Chargers game. Bengals-Chargers game, Sunday Night Football, under 47. Sunday Night Football unders are 8-2 this season. Sunday night for some reason. What is that? Since the beginning of 2022, the 35-13, 73% go to the under on Sunday Night Football. And they do it by a large margin, 4.5 points a game, under. Also, the Chargers are 19-7 to the under since the start of last year. Justin Herbert has more games to the under since the start of last year than any other quarterback in the NFL. So there you go. Under 47 on that Bengals-Chargers game, Sunday Night Football. There you go. A little bonus pick, Team Money.
Okay, I like it. Hopefully the under means Cincinnati wins, though. Let's go to the best part about the Big Bet Show, and that's the G-Man's player prop of the week. What do you got for us, G? You're hot right now, 10-1 the last 2 weeks. What you got for us?
And 14-1 the last 3 weeks, 93% win rate. Team Money. I'm going to give you 5 like I always do. I'm giving you 3 that I keep on hitting, and they're not changing the prop. Okay, Derrick Henry, anytime touchdown. 10 out of 10 games, he's got a touchdown. I'm giving it to you. This is my 3rd week in a row. I'm giving it to you. Derrick Henry, anytime touchdown. The other guy's Amon-Ra in that Detroit game versus Jacksonville Sunday at 1. Anytime touchdown. I've given you that 2 weeks in a row. 7 games in a row, Amon-Ra's got a touchdown.
Yeah.
Okay, there's your 2 anytime touchdowns. And let's go back to the 3rd one I gave you. The last 3 weeks, that's it. And I looked at it again. They still have it at 235. His passing yards, Lamar's passing yards, over 235. He's done 6 games in a row over 280, and they keep putting the prop at 235. Bet the house here. My gosh, this is crazy. And let's give you 2 more. I like Christian McCaffrey in that 4 p.m. Sunday game against Seattle. Over 110 all-purpose yards. That's running and passing. And let's go finally to Thursday Night Football in that Eagles-Washington game. Jalen Hurts, anytime touchdown. He's done it 4 games in a row. Last week he had 2 touchdowns, and it's over anytime touchdown. So you just got to get 1. He'll probably get 2. Yeah. So there we go with Hurts.
All right. I like him, G. We're hot right now in bets, man. So trail us. Let's have a good time and make some money.
Trail us. I love that. Hey, let's go to fantasy. And let's talk to you fantasy managers out there. How you doing with your teams? You guys winning? You winning your league? G-Man's fighting like a doggone heartthrob out there. All the girls are chasing G-Man around town because he's in the lead in the league. Hey, there's 4 teams on a bye this week, all in the NFC. Okay, get ready for that. Giants, Tampa, Carolina, Arizona, all on byes. We're going to play 3 games with you, hot and cold. Take our mistake and give you the daily fantasy lineup. So hot and cold, G-Man will give you the hot. Start them. Cheaper DFS plays. Get them in your flex spot and your DFS lineups. T-Money's going to tell you, cold starters you better put on your bench or they're going to break your heart. And so we'll start off with the running backs. G-Man, last week gave you Tyrone Tracy as a must start. He got 103 yards and a touchdown. This week we're going David Montgomery at home versus Jacksonville. Sunday at 1. You're saying, why David Montgomery? Well, he's the last 4 weeks, he's been less than 15 fantasy points. And one of those weeks only had 8 as they give more of the running back work to Gibbs, but not so fast, my friends. This week he gets back on track. It's a good game script for him against Jacksonville. They should favor Montgomery in the second half, running the ball. I'm going to go Montgomery here with a nice low number on DraftKings DFS, $6,500. David Montgomery, start him and watch him. My running back flex pick of the week.
All right. I like it. My cold running back of the week is Tony Pollard. All right, Tony Pollard, it's projected 12.9 right now versus Minnesota Vikings. All right, the Vikings are number 4 versus running backs in fantasy football right now. And now with Tajay Spears back in the lineup, he's not seeing the touches that he normally sees. Last week with the Spears in the lineup, he only had 10.8 fantasy points, and he had 9 total rushes. It was the passing game that kept him alive into fantasy viable. So he's losing touches slowly as Spears gets ramped up. Not only that, they're facing advanced defense, and Tennessee already doesn't have the best offense. So Tony Pollard is going to be my cold running back of the week. Hopefully you sold him high before Spears got back because it's probably going to be closer to a split backfield going forward. So he's my cold running back of the week.
Makes sense. Let's go to wide receiver. At wide receiver this week, I'm going Chargers Ladd McConkey in that Sunday matchup against the Bengals. McConkey had a down week last week, only got 2 targets. He caught them both for 52 yards. But he's been the go-to guy in that offense, but it is a run-first offense. Herbert only attempted 18 passes last week. Crazy. But I think this changes against the Bengals, not only for that Bengals offense that's probably going to score points, but that Bengals defense is going to give up points. I like McConkey with a lot of opportunity here, and he's only $6,200 on DraftKings. So good value with some upside as this offense tries to stay with Burrow and Chase. Ladd McConkey. Start him and watch him. Wide receiver flex pick of the week.
I like it. They don't have a great pass defense there, so they throw all over them, even though they run first. My cold running back or wide receiver of the week is a hot name everyone's talking about lately, and that's Josh Downs. All right, Josh Downs for the Indianapolis Colts is projected for 13.6 versus the New York Jets. New York Jets might have the best pair of corners in the NFL, and they're number 1 versus wide receivers in fantasy football right now. So this is the worst matchup for anybody, and they already don't have a great quarterback, whether Flacco plays or Anthony Richardson plays. All right. He only has 1 game over 14 points in the last 4 weeks. So again, hot name. Everyone likes him. I think he can be, a guy that scores 10 to 14 regularly with a pop. But this week with a tough matchup, with shaky QB play the last few weeks, I don't like him to score a lot. So Josh Downs is my cold wide receiver of the week.
Yeah. A lot of things shaking out and changing as that Indy core, the wide receiver core kind of moves and shakes around, and injuries are really affecting him. And Pittman back this week, I think, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
There we go. So, hey, let's play a little take or mistake with T Money. Doesn't know who we're going to pick here as we wind our way through the show here, through our big bets, and now into fantasy on our way to get you ready for week 11. And we pick a player who had a big week last week. T-Money tells us whether we should take the bait or would that be a mistake. And we're going to throw at T-Money this week MVS, the New Orleans recent trade acquisition. Valdez-Scantling made the most of his 12% target share, but 57% snap rate in week 10. Popped off vintage Valdez-Scantling. 3 receptions for 109 yards and 2 scores. He should be a starter in New Orleans with all the injuries to that wide receiver core. Team Money. Is MVS a start Sunday hosting a Browns team who have allowed the 4th most deep receiving yards this season? Is he a take or would that be a mistake?
Oh, man.
I'm not a big fan of this. No, I would not start him. I guess if you're desperate, you start him. But, he had 3 targets and he caught all 3 of them, and 2 of them were for touchdowns. So I'm a guy that likes target share more than 1 catch for a touchdown. That's a bomb. And so you're basically hoping for a miracle Hail Mary here. It's like starting Mike Williams, right? Same thing. And he's projected for similar numbers. I'd rather have guys like Elijah Moore, okay? Sneaky little guy for the Browns who's had 9 targets a game like 3 weeks in a row. You got the volume there. So he would not be a take for me. Guys like Khalil Shakir, Jerry Jeudy, Juwan Jennings, all those guys projected in the 11s that I know have a guaranteed target share. MVS may have 0 points next week. So I would not want him to be in my starting lineup as I'm making a push. I'd rather have a more lock of a guarantee with targets, even though he has boom potential. He is not a take for me.
If you need that boom potential, might have to take the risk.
True.
Like I said, vintage Valdez-Scantling box score with that kind of score. That's what he does, man. Hey, let's move to the wrap up here with a DFS lineup. Got my DFS lineup all together for you. Let's go CJ Stroud at the quarterback, only $6,700. And let's match him up with Dalton Schultz at the tight end. I'm putting Mechie in there. I got him for $4,400. He had a big game last week for Houston. I was able to fit Christian McCaffrey in there. I told you, all-purpose yards. Look for the prop on that. Also, David Montgomery at the other running back, only $6,500 for David. And then we've got that Baltimore offense, Zay Flowers at the wide receiver. I'm going to put MVS at the wide receiver, only $4,400. See if he can catch one deep. I got Lab McConkey at the other receiver, and that wraps up my DFS lineup for this week.
All right, I like it, G.
Let's see what we can do. Hey, that's it for today's show. Get ready for week 11, everybody. We got another big Thursday going down to the NFC East. Make sure you catch it. The Commanders and Eagles going at it. Father Son Sports loves bringing you the NFL energy. We hope you had fun hanging out with us. On behalf of Team Money, I'm G-Man. Enjoy the week 11 games.
All right. Peace.